What's up, Titan fans? How we doing? Welcome to another episode from the What's Up Titans Fans pod. And for this episode, we're going to go through the ESPN Power Rankings for all 32 teams. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and highlight some of the stuff that they're talking about right here, which is their preseason hot seat and the current temperature for that player that's on the hot seat. But as we're waiting to get started and we're waiting for people to come into the channel so we can have a conversation with each and every one of you, let me go ahead and insert the plug real quick. If you're not following me on YouTube, TikTok, and X, make sure to follow me on all three platforms. I put out videos all throughout the week. I'm talking Monday through Friday, pre-game videos, post-game videos, these ESPN Power Rankings. They come out to you live just like this, pre-recorded, or the YouTube Shorts, which is 60 seconds or less. And these videos, these longer videos, they got to be under an hour because the TikTok, they don't like videos over an hour long. You can't upload them. So then you can only get them on one platform, and we're trying to post things out everywhere, right? So let's go ahead and dive into things. Sitting at number 32, they didn't move from last week. They're still at the same number 32. The worst team in the NFL, according to the ESPN Power Rankings, is the Las Vegas Raiders. They're 2-8. And look, a lot of these teams at the bottom, they're only going to have a couple wins, right? We have 5 teams in the NFL right now with only 2 wins on the season. It was like that coming into the week, and as the week ends and we're going into week 12, it's the same thing. Still only 5 teams with 2 wins. But yeah, sitting at number 32 because they lost to the Miami Dolphins 34-19. And then who's on their hot seat, which is, I don't really understand it because he's not even a Raider anymore, but they have their preseason hot seat as Davante Adams, and they got that current temperature on the hot seat as burnt, baby. That's what he's at right now. But let's go ahead and look at Davante Adams real quick for the season, even though he's not even a Raider no more. But I guess, hey, they don't really have many other great players, so we'll go ahead and do Davante Adams. He has 44 receptions, 487 yards, and 2 tutties on the season, and they're saying this man is burnt right now. But let's go ahead and move on to number 31. We got the New York Giants. They were on a bye week. They were 31 last week. They're 31 this week. Preseason hot seat is Daniel Jones. He got all that money, a year or so ago, and now he's on the hot seat, but it doesn't matter because they did announce that he's being benched right now for Tommy DeVito, right? The Tommy DeVito, right? And they're not even trying to do Drew Lock, who was the backup all season long, number 2, but number 3's coming in. He's got the swagger, that Italian swag, I'm telling you. And Daniel Jones, he's boiling right now is what they're saying. But we can look how Daniel Jones did and why they're saying it's going to be tough for Daniel Jones, and he's boiling. He's on the hot seat. He's sitting at 63% completion rate. Not too bad. 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think that's really why he's on the hot seat. You can't have, all these interceptions and no touchdowns to counterbalance it. You know what I'm saying? Next, at number 30, this is where the Tennessee Titans were last week. So we moved up in the rankings, obviously. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-9, another 2-win team. There's 5 of them. This is number 3. We're knocking out these 2-win teams right off the back. Hey, Stefan, he said, "Hi, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, brother. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate you being here." But yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars got demolished by the Detroit Lions, 52-6. The Lions put up the same amount of points on the Jacksonville Jaguars as they did the Tennessee Titans. And I'm telling you, brother, it could have been 70 in both games. They eventually end up benching Golf, which I know he had like 400 and some odd yards on the Jacksonville Jaguars, where when he versed us, he only had 85, but they still put up the same amount of points. And right now, on the hot seat for him is their offensive coordinator, Press Taylor. They say this man is boiling right now. He said, y'all are playing the Jags. Not this week, Frosty. This week, we have the Texans. It's a division game. First time we versed the Texans this year. We still got to verse the Jags twice. We still got to verse the Texans twice. So there's going to be a lot of division games coming up in here. And Frosty, I'm sorry to hear about your Chiefs. They finally got dethroned. They got beat by the Bills. It was a good game. It came down to the end. It's what everyone expected of that game. But we'll talk about them in a minute. Oh, yeah, Dempsey. Yeah, he answered it for it, too. He said, "Hey, thanks and no, we're not versing the Jags." Oh, look, we finally got to it. I knew we wouldn't be too far up the list, right? The Tennessee Titans, 2-8. we ended up losing, but somehow we went up in the rankings. We went from 30 to 29, brother. We lost to the Vikings 23-13. Sam Darnold, he looked fine. I thought he was kind of overrated. You know what I'm saying? But now he has 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the season. Will Levis played a solid game. He threw that one interception at the end trying to throw it up, but right now they're showing our preseason hot seat is Dylan Radins. They're saying he's cold. He's our offensive guard on the right side. The right side's been a struggle for us all season. I thought they might show some of his stats like his pancakes and stuff, or sacks allowed, but they don't show that on here. But let's go ahead and jump ahead to the Cleveland Browns sitting at 2-8. Another 2-win team. This should be the last 2-win team on the list. So they have all the 2-win teams, one right after another, right? Cleveland Browns 2-8. They lost to the Saints 28-22. Saints are finally starting to get some dubs because, they went on that massive losing streak, right? They won 2 straight, and then they lost like 7 straight. But they did go down in the rankings 27-28. And then on the hot seat for him is their left tackle, Willis Jr., and they said his temperature is boiling right now, brother. He's on that big hot seat from the preseason. Let's go ahead and jump ahead because they don't show any stats for the left tackle. Now, next on the list right here, the New York Jets. New York Jets sitting at 3-8. They lost to the Colts, which we hate the Colts, but they lost to the Colts 28-27 by 1. They dropped in the rankings from 24-27. And on the hot seat is their coach, Robert Saleh, and they said, hey, temperature of the hot seat is burnt, right? It's a preseason hot seat. I know he got fired. It's weird they're doing hot seats of players or coaches who's no longer on the team. As you saw earlier for the Raiders, they had Devontae Adams on the hot seat. It's like, well, he's a Jet now. So, I guess they're going strictly from preseason. So if they were there on the preseason and at that time, they can consider them as part of the hot seat on the ESPN Power Rankings. Hey, Frosty said, it's good we had to lose eventually. I'm glad we lost to the Bills, though. Yeah, if you're going to lose to a team of that caliber. You don't want to lose to one of these scrub teams, right? Any of these 2 or 3 win teams. Lose to one of the great teams and then get that weight off your shoulder of the undefeated season. Can you go, or especially because now we play 17 games. Can you be the first team in NFL history to go 17-0? So, hey, the weight's off their shoulders now. Now they can relax and just play football. After that, we're talking about the Carolina Panthers. They're slowly moving up in the rankings, right? These guys were number 32 for multiple weeks, probably like 6 weeks straight, And now they're finally starting to move up because they got a few wins. They have 3 wins now on the season. Yeah, they had a bye last week, but it still boosted them up because other teams are just losing, right? 3-7. Now, number 26 on the list. The preseason hot seat is Bryce Young, and he has cold with an asterisk for whatever reason. As you know, Bryce Young, he finally got the starting job back. He got the dub. They did bench him for a few weeks, and it was looking like a terrible organization there in North Carolina. Oh, man, look, now it's wanting to lag out when I'm trying to look at Bryce Young's stats. Let's see if we can get that reloaded. There we go. All right, Bryce Young on the season sitting at 60% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not the best. Hey, Frosty got to go. I appreciate it, Frosty. Go ahead and send that like button real quick. Go ahead and smash it before you leave. It helps the channel out. Make sure everyone in here, go ahead and smash the like button. But yeah, the Panthers sitting at 26. Bryce Young, tough year. You feel bad for him in a way, right? Next, let's move on to the New England Patriots. 3-8. They lost to the Rams 28-22. They went up in the rankings from last week, right? 26-25, even though they got the L. And their hot seat from the preseason, right, is their offensive lineman, Mike Onwenu. They're saying he's cold right now. Hopefully I got that name right. But yeah, they don't show stats for linemen, so we can just drive on. Dallas Cowboys are up next, right? They are 3-7. They lost to the Houston Texans 34-10. They got stomped by them, right? They went from 22-24. Look, they are not them boys, right? They are not. And it's showing their preseason hot seat is their owner/GM, Jerry Jones. We all know he's the mastermind behind the Dallas Cowboys. He makes all the decisions. Everything goes through him. And that type of micromanagement can hurt an organization. You got to trust your coaches. You got to Get a different GM, let him make the decision. It shouldn't be the owner doing it. And you got to trust your players to do their job, right? But they're 3-7 on the year, not looking good for the Cowboys, who always has hype going into a season every single year because they're America's team, right? Now let's go on and go to the Chicago Bears. What a heartbreaker. You keep seeing the videos online, fans at the game. They were thinking they were about to get that game-winning field goal, finally break the streak, beat the Packers, and no, they lost 20-19. They dropped in the rankings from 21-23. Their field goal was blocked. It was a line drive kick. They were able to just manhandle their offensive linemen, reach up, and swat the ball. And even though it did look like they were over the center, which should be a flag, but hey, flag wasn't called. They said it was good. And penalties get missed all the time in the NFL, or they get called when they shouldn't get called. And some of this could be fixed with the sky booth thing like they have in the USFL. Let's go ahead and go on to number 22. The New Orleans Saints, 4-7. They're finally starting to win games. Started 2-0, lost 7 straight. Now 1-2 back-to-back, 4-7. And you look, they're in a bad division, right? We thought the Falcons were going to run away with it. They're not doing it. We thought the Bucs might be them. Not happening. Baker's failing. The Saints 4-7, and then they got the Panthers back there trailing along. But that division is up for grabs this late in the season. It's really anyone's ball game right now. But they went from number 25 to 22 with that dub over the Browns, where they won 35-14. And on the hot seat for them right now is Dennis Kelly, the coach. They say he is burnt. You know why? Because he no longer plays for him, right? They ended up firing their head coach. They have guys listed here who ended up getting fired. They have him on there. But yes, he's fired. They got a new guy, but now they're starting to win. They are 4-7 team. Next, we got the Miami Dolphins, 4-6. Everybody thought they would have a better year coming into the season. They got playmakers everywhere. I'm talking Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You're talking Tua. But obviously, he got hurt for a while, and they struggled with Tua out there. They were bringing in all these different guys for quarterback. They tried Huntley. He didn't work out, right? We ended up beating the Dolphins. That was one of our 2 wins on the season. But they're 4-6. They ended up getting a dub over the Raiders, 34-19. They went up in the rankings from 23 to 24, and their preseason hot seat is Liam Eichenberg. They say this man is hot. He's burning up right now. He's hot on that hot seat, but they don't show any stats for offensive linemen, so we can just breeze past it. Get on to number 20. Finally getting into this top 20, the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, Joe Burrow's having an outstanding year. What all can one man do to try to get some dubs on his team, and they just keep losing? And they lost to the Chargers 34-27. They drop in the rankings from 18 to 20. And their preseason hot seat is Alex Kappa, an offensive lineman. And look, now that we're into the top 20, real quick, if you're here watching, don't forget to smash that like button. It helps the channel out. It gets people in here. We're going to have more of a conversation. Leave comments down below about your team and where you think they're ranked. If you're just coming in and you think your team's in the top 20, let me know. We're just entering it right now. Going into number 19, we got the Indianapolis Colts, right? We hate the Colts, but they ended up getting a dub over the New York Jets, who are starting to have a tough season. They won 28-27. They moved up in the rankings by 1. They went from 20 to 19. And their preseason hot seat, player that was on the team that's now, being kind of rough, is Nick Cross, right? I mean, he's still cold. It's cold. It ain't hot. It ain't burnt like some of these other guys. But let's go ahead and check out Nick Cross, see how he's doing for the year. So for the regular season, I mean, he has a lot of tackles, 102 total tackles, 63 solo, 39 assisted. He has a forced fumble and 2 interceptions. So hey, it's not bad stat wise. So I mean, they said he's just cold though. He's not hot. He's just on the hot seat, but it ain't too hot for the brother, right? Now let's go ahead and move on to 18. Who is it? None other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? They had a bye. They didn't even play, but they went down in the rankings from 17 to 18. Baker, he has pretty good stats. I think he does pretty well for himself. Yeah, every now and then he makes a bad decision, but he's still a good quarterback. The preseason hot seat is their outside linebacker, Joe Tyron Shoyinka, I can't pronounce that word. I don't know, but they said that dude's temperature is hot right now on that hot seat, right? Let's go ahead, view him real quick, see why they say he's so hot. He has 17 total tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. I mean, it just depends on how much he plays. I don't know too much about the guy, but apparently he's on the hot seat right now. Next, the Atlanta Falcons, who started out so good. We thought Kirk was back. I mean, we got to see a little bit of Michael Penix. We got to see him play near the end of the game because they were getting blown out by the Broncos, which made them drop from 14 to 17. The AFC South is in shambles right now, right? Their preseason hot seat is AJ Terrell. He's an older veteran cornerback right now. On the season, he has 54 total tackles and 2 interceptions. I mean, it's not bad, but, he is getting up there in age. He is an older DB, and that's why it just says, his temperature on the hot seat freezing. So it's like, yeah, he's on the hot seat, but is he really? He's not even hot, They say he's freezing, so it's fine. It's fine right now for them. They just got to turn things around. JSG officials, hey mate, back. Remember me, of course, brother. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate everyone who comes back and hitting that like button. It helps the channel out. Glad you're here, brother. Let's see, the Seattle Seahawks 5-5. They beat the Niners 20-17. They done went up from 19 to 16. And their preseason hot seat is Geno Smith, right? Who ended up having a horrible beginning to his career, broke his jaw, lost the locker room, everything like that. Came back. He's now a Seattle Seahawk, and he's been good for the last couple years. He's sitting at 69% completion rate so far this year, which is really good. He's getting close to that 3,000-yard mark. The only issue is these 11 touchdowns with 11 interceptions. You start getting there. When you're having as many interceptions as touchdowns, it gets tough. Oh, yeah, from Sydney, Australia. Yep. Oh, yeah, you like to do that rugby, huh? Then we got the Los Angeles Rams sitting at 5-5. They beat the Patriots 28-27, but the Patriots are not a good team, and that's why they stayed the same in these rankings, right? They were 15 last week. They're still 15 this week. And on the hot seat with a hot temp right now is Tutu Atwell, right? Let's dive in, see what he's doing for the year. He has 27 receptions on 42 targets, 393 yards, and no touchdowns on the season, which is tough, right? You think by this point of the year you'd at least get a tutty already. He said, yeah, mate, you do remember Googling. Yep, hey, I tried, brother, I tried. And like I said, I appreciate the comments, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate it. It's a conversation every day between me and all of you out there. Next, at 14, the Denver Broncos, right? They blew the doors off the Atlanta Falcons 38-6. They go up in the rankings from 16 to 14. Bo Nix, hey, he's doing fine this year. It looks like Sean Payton got his QB. Obviously, he didn't have one last year. They had a preseason hot seat is their tight end, Greg DeLuch. Let's go ahead and see how he's doing for the year. He only has 5 receptions, 12 targets, 28 yards. Yeah, those stats are not very good, brother. So that's a little tough for that tight end. His current temperature is boiling. They're saying this man's boiling right now. Yeah, he's not having a good year. Number 13, real quick, is the San Francisco 49ers, who everyone expects to be a playoff team. I mean, they're 5-5. They're still ranked at number 13. They lost to the Seahawks 20-17. They went down only 1 spot from 12 to 13. And Deebo Samuel, right? He's on the hot seat, and they say his temp is hot right now. So let's go ahead and look. He has 33 receptions on 52 targets, 490 yards, and 1 tutty. That's where Debo's at right now for him. The Houston Texans right here, AFC South division rival, sitting at 7-4. They beat the Cowboys, which I know a lot of people like because even though they're considered America's team, a lot of people hate the Cowboys, right? 34-10. They went up in the rankings by 1, 13-12. It was like the battle of Texas, right? Stephon Diggs is on the hot seat. They're saying his seat is hot right now. And as we look at his stats, he has 47 receptions, almost 500 yards, and 3 tutties on the season. Not too bad. Arizona Cardinals, they were on a bye, 6-4. They went down in the rankings from 10 to 11. They didn't even do anything. They just didn't play and they went down in the rankings. Their hot seat right now is Dennis Gardick, their linebacker. And for the year, real quick, he has 22 total tackles, 3 sacks, and an interception on the year. So real quick, as we get into the top 10, let me go ahead and remind everyone to go ahead and smash that like button, comment down below. It all helps the channel out, helps your boy out. Let's go ahead and send some love this way, right? Because the Tennessee Titans are trash this year, and your boy needs some love. He needs these likes coming in. So number 10, finally into the top 10, the Washington Commanders, who's been good all year, even though coming into the season, nobody thought it, right? No one thought the Commanders was going to be good. They have a rookie quarterback. They've been trash for the past decade. So, but now they're 7-4, top 10 team. They ended up losing to the Eagles 26-18. They went from 7 to 10. But look, it's the Eagles. The Eagles have a stacked roster. A lot of people are going to lose to the Eagles. When you got Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, you got Smith at wide receiver, you got Saquon Barkley at running back, you're going to be dominating many teams out there. The Eagles, they have no reason to lose a game. Even with the Washington Commanders playing so well, that's a tough opponent. A lot of teams are going to lose to the Eagles. But their preseason hot seat, Emmanuel Forbes Jr., their cornerback, they're saying his hot seat right now is boiling. He's boiling right now. That's tough. He only has 7 total tackles, 2 solo, and 1 interception. He has that 1 interception to save him. If he didn't have that, those stats would be absolute garbage. Now, getting into number 9, the LA Chargers. If you're a Titans fan, we played him. Justin Herbert, he looked outstanding. But they beat the Bengals 34-27, went from 11 to 9, making it into the top 10 finally. And their preseason hot seat is Quentin Johnson, that speedy little receiver. And he's just cold, It's not even too hot for him. It's more like a cold seat, right? He has 22 receptions, 354 yards, and 6 tutties on the year. Now, going into number 8, the Green Bay Packers, who's another team we played this year and another team who beat us. And it wasn't even their starting QB. It was their backup Malik Willis, who we traded to them right before the season started. But they ended up beating the Bears 20-19 in that heartbreak for the Chicago Bears, where they ended up getting a field goal blocked, which secured the win for the Green Bay Packers. And their preseason hot seat is Anders Carson. They're saying this man is burnt right now on this hot seat. And let's look at his stats on the season. If you look, it's not actually too bad. He has 100% field goal percentage, 7 of 7. He made everything. He has 3 50-yard field goals. He has a missed extra point, but that's about it. I'm not sure why. Looking at the stats, chat, I'm not sure why he's on the hot seat. He's been perfect. He's been perfect all year on his field goals. That is wild to me. But they're saying their kicker is on the hot seat. Anderson Carson. I don't get it. But hey, it is what it is. That's what ESPN put out. I'm just bringing it straight to you. I'm finding this out as you're finding it out, right? So number 7, the Baltimore Ravens, 7-4. They lost to the Steelers 18-16, which we're all happy about, right? Because if you're a fan of this channel, if you've liked it, you subscribed, you did all that, I hate the Baltimore Ravens. I hate them more than any other team in the NFL, and I want them to lose every single week. And this one loss to the Steelers, them Steel Boys right now, which means I love them Steel Boys right now. They beat the Ravens. They made them drop from number 3 all the way to number 7. You gotta love it. We gotta keep these Baltimore Ravens losing all season long. Their offensive tackle was Ronnie Staley. He's cold right now. They don't show stats for offensive linemen, so we can't even view anything for him. But yes, the Ravens lost, and it sucks. Derrick Henry, I don't think he only had 50 yards rushing that game. And we love Derrick Henry. We want him to do good, even in Baltimore. But let's go ahead and get to number 6. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, right? I downplayed them coming into this week. I doubted Sam Darnold. You know what? He actually looked legit, right? I know it's just against us, but he looked legit. They beat the Titans 23-13, unfortunately. They rose in the ranks from 8 to number 6, and their preseason hot seat is their GM right now. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. It looks too difficult to do. And it's saying he's cold, though. It's not even too hot for the man. But it is hard to find a good hot seat player or anyone on the team when you're 8-2. I mean, you're doing good. Vikings are doing good. They ended up beating us. And look, they got weapons everywhere. They did it right. You know, you can take an average quarterback like Sam Darnold, or even a below average quarterback. But if you get, you know, in the draft, you draft people like Justin Jefferson, you know, Addison, you get a good runner back like they did with Jones. You know, you can surround your guys, your team, your quarterback with good enough players to where he excels well enough. Unlike the Tennessee Titans, we're doing the complete opposite. We're drafting young linemen and getting veteran playmakers, you know, getting the veteran wide receivers everywhere. You know, these older guys, that's not the tail end of their career. We got to probably get like the more younger, faster wide receivers. We got to do that route like the Minnesota Vikings done, like the Bengals have done. You know, even though the Bengals, their offensive line does kill Burrow. But, you know, it seems to be more productive that way. Next, the Steel Boys. Even though they beat the Ravens and it made the Ravens drop from 3 to 7, them Steel Boys still are at number 5. They didn't move in the power rankings at all, even though they're sitting at 8-2 for the year, right? And then their wide receiver, George Pickens, he's on the hot seat, even though it's a cold seat, right? But we can see what he did. But I know it's wild the Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-2, even though they started Justin Fields for some games. They brought in Russell Wilson, who everyone thought was going to be a bust when he started playing for them. He's been playing really well for them. But so far, Pickens on the year, 48 receptions, 728 yards, and 2 tutties for the year. Like I said, it's not even a hot seat. It's a cold seat because, you know, it's hard to have a hot seat when you were 8-2. Next, the Eagles. Number 4 in the NFL right now, 8-2. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. If you're looking at it on paper, you're just like, wow, how do they ever lose a game? But they're ranked number 4, going up from 6 from beating the Commanders. And their preseason hot seat is their coach, Nick Sirianni, which is a cold seat. I mean, how can you say he's on a hot seat when they got the team 8-2, right? Let's go ahead and jump to number 3, the Buffalo Bills. They just beat the number 1 team in the NFL. That's been number 1 this entire season. The Chiefs have been number 1 basically since week 1 in these power rankings. But they beat them 30-21. They went from number 4 to number 3, only jumped up 1 spot. Their preseason hot seat is their coach, Coach McDermott. But his temperature right now is freezing on that hot seat. So it's not a hot seat at all. They just basically had to put someone there because they're doing so well. 9-2, So let's go ahead and jump to number 2, see who it is. And it's the Kansas City Chiefs, baby. They dropped in the rankings finally. They've held that throne all year long. They're 9-1. They lost to the Bills. They finally dropped from 1 to 2 in these ESPN Power Rankings. And look, it's been a long season. We've seen them all year at number 1, playing flawlessly, basically. I mean, you got to play flawlessly when you're 9-0. I know they had some close games here and there, but they still got the dub when it mattered. Mahomes came out and did his thing. Rashid Rice is on the hot seat, even though it's a cold seat. Let's check him out for this year. Rashid Rice, 24 receptions, 288 yards, and 2 tutties on the year. And then sitting at number 1 is the team that I thought should have been number 1. If you just go a few weeks into the season, Lions, they're just blowing people out of the water. They are doing outstanding. Dan Campbell has turned that organization around. And honestly, if the playoffs started today and I had to pick a playoff team that I wanted to win it all, not that who I would think would win it all, I would want the Detroit Lions. Detroit has went too long with playoff droughts. They've been cursed since Barry Sanders, right? But they beat the Jags 52-6. And Dan Campbell, hey, he did show mercy to our Tennessee Titans. They put up 52 points. It could have been 70. I'll say it over and over again. In the fourth quarter, as soon as it started, they benched Jared Goff. They brought in Hendon Hooker, the ex-volunteer. They brought him in. And they only passed the ball 3 times in the fourth. Everything was a run play. They just ran out the clock. I think they're the best team in the NFL. But yes, 52-6. They went up from number 2 to number 1 with that loss that the Kansas City Chiefs suffered at the hands of them Steel Boys. Their preseason hot seat is Jameson Williams, which is really a cold seat. But let's go ahead and check them out real quick. Williams on the year, 24 receptions, 538 yards, and 4 tutties. He has that long of 70. That's wild. But yeah, so that does it for the power rankings. I appreciate everyone being here. Go ahead, comment down below how you feel your team did in these power rankings. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tighten up, baby.